This video today is very, very dark. I suggest you don't eat anything while watching this video because it will for sure make you lose your appetite. From a woman ripping her incisions open and playing with her own intestines to a man that ate his own fingers. Let's talk about these and more only on today's top 10 list. Starting off this countdown, we have the incisions. Here's your final warning. If you're eating anything right now, I suggest you stop. So this story comes from someone that worked at a mental hospital for about 5 years. The scariest incident that she ever encountered was with a patient that had to have surgery to remove an object that she swallowed. After her surgery, she heard a nurse scream for help. She ran into the patient's room and saw that she had opened up her incisions that were stapled shut, and she was holding part of her intestines in her hands. The patient was covered in blood. Shortly after the incident, the nurse quit. As would I. That is scarring. Also, in Canada, we say intestines. I know a lot of people called me out saying it's intestines. In Canada, we say large and small intestines. So, fun fact, there you go. Moving on to number 9, we have the thumbs. And if you guys are liking this video, then why don't you give it a big thumbs up? So this next nurse was working when a man was brought in for assessment. Apparently, the man was super big and tough looking. He kept his head down and didn't say a word. He was handcuffed and he had 2 officers standing by his side. All of a sudden, the man breaks out of his handcuffs and makes a run for it down the hall towards the exit. Thankfully, the police caught up to him and tackled him to the floor, and was baffled by the fact that he somehow managed to slip the handcuffs off of his hands. But that's when she noticed something weird about this guy's hands. Upon closer inspection, she saw that the guy didn't have his thumbs. Even the ball socket that attaches the thumb to his palm was removed. He did it himself so that he could easily slip out of police handcuffs. First of all, how didn't the officers see that when they put the handcuffs on him in the first place? Second, ow. In our 8th spot, we have the attacks. So this next individual worked at a hospital for kids that have gone through traumatic experiences and had to be removed from their homes. This hospital was a bit different. The kids lived in like dorm type rooms. Now there was one young girl that had a hate on for her nurse. She would do whatever she could to try and hurt her. One time the nurse entered her room and the girl was missing. She then went to check her closet, and when she did, the girl launched at her from the top shelf of the closet and started clawing at her eyes and hitting her. Needless to say, after that incident, she got a new nurse, and her old nurse was kept as far away from her as possible. In our 7th spot, we have the trauma. It's sad, but a lot of patients in mental hospitals are just victims of trauma. Maybe they witnessed something at a young age and that scarred them for life. That's the case for this next patient. So the patient was a young kid that had dissociative identity disorder. At times, he would just zone out and start screaming, begging his mom to stop hitting him. Like, that is so sad and dark. But good news, on multiple occasions, the boy has said that he finally feels safe now. Even if he still has moments where he remembers his past trauma, it's good that he finally feels safe. Making our way down the list at number 6, we have the dolls. So this patient was a very old lady that would always carry around a doll with her. She was convinced that this doll was legit her baby and that she had given birth to her. She would even talk in great detail about her pregnancy with this doll baby child thing. Well, one night the nurse tucked her in and forgot to tuck in her baby. So she reached to go get the baby, and this woman freaked out and just punched her straight in the throat. She then started screaming and yelling about how she was driving too fast and how she destroyed everything that she loved. Well, turns out that this woman did have a baby once upon a time. However, the baby and her husband both passed away in a car accident. That is so sad. I feel so bad for this poor woman. She was so traumatized by an accident, and that's why she's so overprotective of this doll. She pretends like it's her real-life daughter. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the broomstick. This next worker had a patient that stabbed himself with the metal jagged end of a broomstick. He shoved it so hard in his stomach that it actually snapped inside of him. And when that happened, he started screaming and digging into his stomach with his fingers to try and get it out. I don't know how the workers there do it. Like, I feel like if I witnessed that, I would have just passed right out. Coming in at number 4, we have the snakes. This next patient would always talk about the snakes in his room. He was truly convinced that snakes were living in his ceiling and would slither out and attack him. He also kept saying that the snakes would bite him. Every day he would have more and more snake bites on his body. Well, turns out that he was inflicting these wounds on himself. He would pinch and twist his skin until there were small bloody holes in his skin. But he wasn't even aware that he was doing this to himself. He was fully convinced that snakes were biting him. In our third spot, we have the bad habits. This next patient had a habit of taking hand sanitizer and squirting it directly into her eyes and wounds. Okay, I've never had hand sanitizer in my eyes, thankfully, but I've gotten it on a tiny paper cut and it burns. So imagine what that would feel like in your eyes. The pain would be 1,000 times worse. But this isn't the only thing the patient would do. She also likes to eat tissues. She just pulls tissues out of the box one by one and eats them. As a result, nurses, oh, my teeth hurt just thinking about it. You know when people rub cotton balls together? Oh, sorry, okay. As a result, nurses have to keep sanitizers and tissues away from her at all costs. Ugh. In our second spot, we have the prediction. So this story comes from a nurse who worked with a patient that had schizophrenia. One day while she was with the patient, she turned to her and said, "Oh, how wonderful, you're expecting a baby boy." The woman was taken back because she wasn't pregnant, or at least she didn't think she was. But turns out she was pregnant and the patient was right, which is very creepy. I mean, how did the patient even know that? Then when she got her ultrasound done, she found out indeed she was having a baby boy. So the patient got 2 things right. Now, here's where it gets dark. Towards her end of the pregnancy, she was still working at the hospital. One day, the patient turns to her and says, "Oh no, I'm sorry to hear about your baby." The nurse asks her what she means, and she says that her baby isn't gonna make it. And the woman was right again. The nurse suffered complications with her delivery and the baby didn't make it. So this woman is psychic or something. Like, how did she know that? That's so creepy. And in our number 1 spot, we have the fingers. One day, a nurse was making her rounds on the floor when she heard a patient laughing hysterically in his room. When she went to go check on him, she found him sitting in the middle of his room, holding his hand to the sky. It was covered in blood. Turns out that this patient had eaten 4 of his fingers. The worst part, when nurses rushed in to help, he said, "My fingers crunch exactly like baby carrots." Great. So I'm never eating carrots ever again. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let's move quickly along to our comment shout out. I'll be shouting out comments from the video, top 10 celebrities who believe in crazy theories. Justin Cameron commented, "Greatest conspiracy theory is that Lindsay is mind controlling everyone." Maybe I am. Maybe I am somehow. Never know. Lilo Attila commented, "What if we do have a real life Wakanda, but it's called Torrid?" Oh my god, as soon as I heard this, it kind of makes sense. Like the man from Torrid, that whole story. Go check it out if you haven't already. We've done videos on it. It blows my mind. Wow, you may be onto something there. Marlon Johnson commented, "We are in a simulation. I know because I wrote some of the code. They need help with a glitch." Ooh, Marlon, I don't think you're supposed to reveal your secrets like that. I think the CIA or FBI or somebody's coming for you. The government's for sure coming for you now. Just kidding. Alright guys, that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya. The nurse came as soon as she heard what happened and was baffled by the fact that he somehow managed to slip the handcuffs. Nice. The nurse came as soon as she heard what happened and was baffled by the fact that he somehow managed to slip the handcuff.